how can you put the camera on?
Can you?
Alright, you got about 36 seconds remaining. 36 seconds remaining.
We don't know how to answer the second one.
Okay, what setting if you know what a setting is, you should be determining a setting. What setting might help to express this information to the readers? Alright, so for example, the restaurant is where we found out all the information about Raleigh's mother. Okay, yes ma'am. Okay, excellent. Alright, she did SpongeBob. And she talked about the Krabby Patty. Isn't that where he works? Is that where he works? The chum? No, not the chum bucket. That's the other one. He works at the Krabby Patty, right? And so she used the restaurant for an example of that. Alright, that's our time. So let's stop right there. Alright, so group Brenda and Joanna, go ahead and share. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Okay. SpongeBob is always happy because he worked at the restaurant and he's happy to work there.
Alright, so he worked at the restaurant and he's happy to work there.
Yeah.
Okay. What else happens at the restaurant? There's a lot that goes on at that particular restaurant with SpongeBob. What else happens at the
He
restaurant?
don't know how to cook.
Does he? He does. They need SpongeBob there. Squidward is there. There's always discrepancies with Squidward, and Mr. Krabs is all about money. And we learned that SpongeBob likes to have fun. He's going to laugh. He's going to work hard. He's patient. I watch SpongeBob just about every other day because my son likes it. So thank you for sharing. All right. Let's see. Rayleigh and Angel. Rayleigh and Angel. All right, go ahead and share with us.
Blue Panther is a superhero. He saves lives. Has all sorts of powers. You can find Blue Panther in North Carolina.
Okay, how does that help us? How does that setting help us to understand Blue Panther and who he is? How does Albertson, North Carolina help us to understand Blue Panther? Now, let's think about Blue Panther. If he has all these superheroes, let's think about that. If you see him and he's in North Carolina and he's jumping across buildings, where did I see him last? He was on the top of a skyscraper, okay, or something like that. That helps us to better understand your superhero. But just saying he's in Albertson, North Carolina, that doesn't tell us much about, it doesn't help us understand your character. Okay? All right. Do we have another? Share your group.
There was this superhero named
Okay, come on, guys.
Electric Man. He saved people from crash cutters. There was a superhero named So Demon. He was so always wanted to see.
Okay, next group, girls.
The main character are Jesse and
Jesse and who?
Carrie.
Carrie, okay.
Okay, Jessie is a girl, Carrie is a boy.
Uh-huh.
The setting takes place in the forest deep in. They both love to take adventure in the forest deep in the
Uh-huh.
in.
All right, so deep in the forest. Okay, that tells us about the characters because that tells us that they're adventurous. And where do they take those adventures? In the forest. So that's a good setting for your characters if they like adventure and they like taking walks and those types of things. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, I'm sending you a survey right now. I'm sending you a survey. It's your knowledge check. It's make connections. And you're going to respond to this question. The question is, Cruz is connected to the high school. What do we learn about him there? Think about this. Think about who Cruz is. Do we remember who Cruz is?
No.
We don't remember. Somebody help Jessie. Who is Cruz?
He's a football player.
He's the rude football player that came into the restaurant.
Oh,
So now let's look at this question again. It says Cruz is connected to the high school. What do we learn about him there? All right, it should be very easy. How many do I have? 8? I have 6 responses. Waiting for the other 2.
I answered already.
It's thinking.
Yeah.
All right, Jose is still thinking, waiting for that last response. Waiting for the last response. All right, so let's end our survey and let's look at our results. All right, so let's look at the screen. Cruz is connected to the high school. What do we learn about him there? A, Cruz is a hard worker and a good student. B, Cruz is a high school football player and is well known. C, Cruz works at a Mexican restaurant until after midnight. Or D, Cruz is not associated with any particular setting. Which ones can you go ahead and mark off as incorrect?
A.
A.
We can definitely mark off A. We can definitely mark off C. And we can mark off D. Our answer should have been, he's a high school football player and is well known. He came into the restaurant and he was acting as if he was just the man. We don't remember that scene? I think you do. Most of you got it correct. Okay. So we've got to make sure that we're focusing on the characters and understanding who they are when they are introduced to us. All right. So the last thing that you're going to do, you're going to work on this on your own. Okay. All right. No, you know what? We can do this as pairs. Let's stay in our groups. You can do it as pairs. I'll let you do that. So keep that same sheet that you're on, and you're going to tab down. All right. Yeah, you're going to tab down. All right. All right. So I'm gonna. Well, no, I can't broadcast because you guys are doing that. So I'm gonna project the passages here. I'm gonna project a couple of passages. All I want you to do, let's see if I can get this to scroll down. Let's look at passage 1 first. I'll read it. I want your group, you're going to write one question about each passage. That's all you're doing. Okay? To understand, let's get an understanding about connecting the characters and the setting. Let's take a look at passage 1. Raleigh sat in a booth at the back of his mother's restaurant and stared blankly at his math sheet. He had gotten a 64 in algebra on his last report card, and it looked like he was headed toward another failing grade. How do you expect to run a restaurant if you can't do math? His mother scolded him. What question would you have about that passage? And this tells us a lot about the character of Raleigh. What can we get out of this just from this setting of being in the booth?
He doesn't know algebra.
He doesn't know algebra. What else? What else do we find out?
He really do need the tutoring.
He may need some tutoring. We can find out that he's failing. His mom wants him to run the restaurant. Just from this setting, we find out that information.
Understand why he needs to go to tutoring.
Okay, absolutely. Now, write a question about this. What question would you have about it? There's some simple questions. For number 1, I may ask the question, why is Raleigh at the restaurant instead of at home? Because maybe he needs to be home doing his work and not at the restaurant. Think about questions like that. Okay?
What's question number 1?
You're working with your partner to come up with the question.
Should I say our question already?
No, go ahead and just write it down, and then we'll move on. I'm going to read the next part, okay? Everybody have their first question?
No, yes.
Who's still working? Okay, we got 2 groups still working. That's a great question. Oh, that's an interesting question. Alright. You so what with algebra? Oh. Alright, are we ready, guys? You have your question?
I'm better done.
Just one person should be entering it in. Unless you're working on your own. Looks like y'all are working separately. Is that what's happening here?
I thought we had to use
Oh, okay. No, just one. It only should have been one person. All right. Do we have our question here?
Yes.
All right. All right, what were some of the questions we had? Yes, ma'am.
Does Riley study for his test or do his homework?
All right, does Riley study or do his homework? Those are valid questions. If he's failing algebra, does he study? All right.
Why is he failing if he does his homework?
Oh, why is he failing if he does his homework? Maybe he's doing his homework and is still failing. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Angel, your group?
What is so hard about algebra?
What is so hard about algebra?
Right?
Maybe it's easy for you guys. Have you guys had algebra yet? Okay, so you're wondering why is he having such a hard time with it? All right, Luis, your group. What's your question?
Why does Raleigh have to work in the restaurant if her mom already has workers at the restaurant?
Ooh, that's a good question. Why does Raleigh have to work in the restaurant if his mom already has workers?
Oh, that's a nice
That's a fantastic question. Okay, so we have all these things about this character and what's making him, and how he is. So those are great questions. Let's look at the next one because you're gonna come up with another question here. Section 2. At that moment, Raleigh's mother stepped out of the kitchen. When she saw the teenagers, she grabbed an armload of menus and hurried up to them. Buenas noches. How many in your party? What question can you write about that? Because this is about Raleigh's mom now. Now we're thinking about Raleigh's mom. Okay? What question do you have about her character here? Think about her character and the setting. Remember, Cruz and his guys have walked in, and they've been being really rude. So rude that a couple got up and left. Okay, so think about that setting. And how she comes out and says, Buenas noches. How many in your party? What question do you have about her character?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
It is. What questions do you have about her character? What question do you have about her character?
Kind of hard. I heard that Jose. I heard that Jose. I heard that.
Think. What question do you have about her character? Because this is interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't think he can like you.
It takes a strong person to do what Raleigh's mom does in this situation. You got your question? All right. You guys are good? Oh, thinking. All right. Got about a minute. Oh, it's almost time for you guys to go to lunch. All right. Okay, it's almost that time for lunch, guys. So let's share out our questions, and we're going to prepare the line up for you to go to lunch. All right, your group.
Why is she being nice to them if they were rude to me?
Excellent question. Why is she being nice to them if they were rude? Why did she? Oh, I almost said another question. I couldn't get it that way. Anybody else have one ready before we go to lunch? Yes.
How can she be so patient?
How can she be so patient? That's fantastic. Yes. Yes. No? Yeah. Jesse's about to read it. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll read it. Oh, she wrote, why is Riley's mom so kind to the teenagers when Riley didn't want to send them?
Absolutely. That's a great question. All right. So let's get ready to line up. I think it's our guys first today.